Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday and welcome to today's webinar. Trends continue to show us that consumers are adopting a digital approach to not only the purchases they are making, but also to finding out more, investigating the companies and businesses who they are wanting to purchase or have services with. They want to know who they are, their story, and what makes them unique. So our webinar today, how to write a compelling About Us page, will show you that this is a key space in which you can utilize your About Us page to provide you more information for your consumers. And then you can also easily copy it across to your social media and other digital platforms. Our presenter today, Rhonda, is an agency general manager at Zealed. She has been in the digital space for over 10 years and has a wealth of knowledge, not only from working at Zealed, but also as a business owner for Time Out Charity. Rhonda is very passionate about businesses telling their story and what makes them stand out against their competitors and make you want to purchase with them. Just a few housekeeping rules for today. How will the webinar run? So if it's your first time on Zoom, if you can't hear anything right now, there is an audio settings button on the bottom left. You can click on this and it should be able to change some of your settings. If you would like to ask a question at any time, please feel free to do so. The preferable ways of doing this is either through the chat, which will send a message to Rhonda and I, or through the Q&A, which will also send through a question. If you would like to ask a question verbally, then you would use the raise hand option. Oh, there it is. What is raise hand? So that's what it is. So you would need a microphone in order to ask a question that way. Also, if you do miss anything from today's webinar, we will be sending out the recording afterwards, as well as a copy of the presentation, but it is also found on our Zealed webinar library. So now I will hand over to Rhonda, who will take us through her presentation.
Thanks, Lisa. I loved your introduction because it's actually true. I am very, very passionate about the About Us page. And I'm really pleased I got the opportunity to do this webinar today. And I'm just going to share my screen. Here we go. Here we go. So just to go over what we're going to be covering today. So what is the About Us page? What does your About Us page say about your brand? Types of content that you can use to tell your story, how to write your About Us page, creating your team pages, and then just touching on building trust and converting more customers. So like I said, I am quite passionate about this. And I guess one of the reasons why is that I have seen how a good About Us page can actually bring about more results for businesses online. And actually the reverse, we've seen people do everything right, having lovely products, you know, price point nicely, doing promotions online, you know, getting that nice branding out there, etc. But they have fallen down on their About Us page and it has affected their conversions. It has affected their results. So getting the About Us page is critical. And if you talk to experts and ask them what is the most important page on your website, most of them will say the homepage. And that is rightly so. Home pages are really, really important. But second to that, they'll say the About Us page. And if you think about your own behavior when you go online and you're searching or purchasing or investigating for a service, you first go to the home page. The second page you go to is to check out the About Us. You then sometimes look at the products and then perhaps the contact page. So at all these stages, if the About Us pages doesn't build trust and credibility, that's as far as it goes. And often you won't get to that next stage of either inquiring or purchasing. Often the About Us is found on a footer of a website. But in most cases, it's a separate page that's navigatable from the main menu. And what happens if you can't find it? And it does happen, believe it or not, quite a lot of the times people don't find About Us pages, and you'll know this from your own buying and searching online. And it's most likely when you can't find the About Us page, that's as far as you go. So it does affect trust on the site. So a well-written About Us page can help a company showcase its personality, brand, areas of competence, credibility that will determine how it differs from the rest of its competition, leaving a favourable impression, hopefully a favourable one, on one's clients and potential customers. It should include how your company or brand began, what makes it unique, its core beliefs and brand values, and why customers should choose you. So there's no point in trying to sell eco-friendly products if in your About Us page, you don't show your brand or personal commitment to the environment. And if you have a fun and fresh brand and then you go to the About Us page and it's formal, then the reverse is true. It doesn't, and the reverse is true. If you've got a formal brand and then you try something funky on the About Us page, it just doesn't match and causes people to not trust you. It affects your credibility. So similarly, all of your colors, style, even the way it's written should be consistent with the mood and style of your whole site or brand. So let's take a look at some of the ways that you can use the content basically of an About Us page. An About Us page is usually filled with either images, text, video, and then the style. And so really we're saying whatever style you use, make sure that's consistent with the style of all your brand. But let's delve into images, text, and video. And it is true, there's an old saying, and it is really, really old, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And it's an old adage that's across many languages. And it dates back to even the 1700s. There's a first recording of it being quoted in a newspaper as being an old saying, and that was back in 1913. So back in 1913, or even older than that, they didn't have the internet, they didn't have social media, they didn't have websites. Whatever that, how important that saying was, a picture is worth 1,000 words, it's just amplified even more nowadays when it comes to having the internet and websites. So it's not a new concept, but with the new age of media, it's just reflected even more. So images are a great way to add depth and significance to a user's impressions of your website while spicing things up. Make sure to select images that effectively communicate and reinforce your brand's message. And this is one site brand that we all know and love as New Zealanders. It's Whatties. And look at the richness of that beautiful image across their banner. And then this is actually their About Us page, and they talk about their growers, their crops, their sustainability, their canning, snap frozen, and then recipes. But look at the richness and beauty of those images. They tell you about quality products. They tell you about the value of their growers. It's just so beautiful, and I love the site and the way that it's consistent with what Watty's brand stands for. So definitely images. Spend some time getting to get good images that reflect you and your brand. If you are a local company, then get an image of your team, not just standing somewhere relative. Get them in something that's local so people can understand that you're local. If images of maybe if you've got a long history in your company, then images that kind of help to tell that story. So have a look when you're looking at the detail that you're going to be conveying within your About Us. Where would an image help tell that part of that story quickly for you? And then again, if images can speak 1,000 words, then video is 1,000,000 times better again. So video, like images, can convey feeling and emotion and tell a whole story in a very engaging way. So video is an opportunity to bring your story to life. So think of things that might be able to be conveyed within a video, like why did you start your business, and explain what makes you you. It's an emotional, video can have an emotional core to it. And so your video is there to show the genuine emotion involved in your business, and it needs to have a heart. It can literally humanize your brand, and it can explain why you can use video to help explain why your business exists and to build that trust and credibility. So I've got some examples here of where I've picked up that video is used really well. And in this example that I'm sharing on the screen at the moment is Bellatuno. They are a US brand that I came across because I was looking for baby products for my new grandbaby, who is very cute. But anyway, this is her About Us page, and her story for starting the brand is quite unique, and her team is quite unique. She only ever employs women. And then she has this beautiful video that tells of a very personal experience that she went through with her family as to why she started the brand. And so by watching the video, it's very, it does get you emotionally involved, made me want to buy them, even though you can't buy them in New Zealand at the moment. So another example is Allbirds. So Allbirds is becoming a global New Zealand brand, and look at this amazing video that you see as soon as you get to their About Us page. They are about making shoes out of wool. And what an awesome way to convey that with this moving image that's just at the beginning. Again, video that says a lot. They're very Kiwi brand, and it says that right away as soon as you see those sheep. So just as something very subtle, but using video in a very clever way as part of their About Us. And then we have this brand here, I Love Ugly, which is a male clothing brand that's become very popular. Now you won't hear this, but I'm just gonna, there's a video here that basically does a walkthrough through the store. And you get a really good feel of what the brand is from just playing this video. You get a really good feel of who they are as a store. Even though there's no words attached to this, even the music to it actually livens it up and helps you connect to the brand. It is in line with the brand's kind of focus of being young and very trendy. And then it tells a little bit about his story underneath there. So they've used video in a really nice way to support their About Us page. So, and then of course you've got text. So your copy must address all of the important points regarding your business. It needs to really communicate what exactly makes you different, and should have a clear message as to why people should buy from you instead of from someone else. So communicate it in a very clear and concise manner, and always include a call to action on the page with the text. This enables your visitors to get hold of you either by phone or by email, or to move through to another area on the site that you're really wanting them to head towards. So I'm going to delve a little bit more into copy or text, into that a bit deeper, in the different parts of text and what you should include in your text or part of the story. And again, you can use images, video, and text to cover all these things, but at least you've got to cover these things. I think that's the important thing. So let's go into that. So the first thing is share your brand story. This needs to be on your About Us page somewhere. What prompted you to start your business? What was your first product? For whom are your products or services for? Storytelling captures your customers' attention and humanizes your brand. It's what makes you unique. So no one else has your story. Your story is always your own. And so telling that story is really important to help bring and connect your potential customers to you. So highlight milestones. You know, tell some of the things that you've had to overcome to get your business out there and why you felt it was important to overcome them. You need to keep it short and concise, but sweet. So tell the deep, the highs and lows, but just review your copy to get it concise. The more the story drags on, the more likely you'll lose people's interest. So it's highlights. And one way to do that with copywriting is to just do bullet points, and then you can merge them together later into a story. But it helps to keep your story writing short. So what made you start your business is really a good place to start. And then going over those questions, remembering them, what prompted you, how you got to where you are today. Did you do it on your own? Did you have support from family, friends? Were you advised things and decided to take the plunge? All those stories help to bring things out. I've got this one here. This is Deep Creek, which is a brewing company based in Silverdale, who's not only going national but international. And I live in Browns Bay, and they've got a bar down the road. And they're really interesting. When you come here to the About Us page, you'd expect to see bottles of beer, maybe the brewing stuff. But there's actually a guy mountain biking, but it actually helps to tell their story. And this is part of their story here, is about adventure and where they came from and what made them want to actually start the company. And I thought that's actually a really clever way to do it. And they've also broken it up with images and keeping the snippets quite short as well. But it helped to definitely tell their story and about how the whole adventure of the project is what's important to them. So another thing to include are, what are the problems and solutions? Did you experience a problem and created your business to solve it? And that's really something that's often unique to individual businesses. It's either because you couldn't source a product, or you found when you were going through something that actually you needed something that you couldn't find, or you couldn't find it locally, or you didn't find you know, that actually it was at a good price point and your job was to bring it at a certain price point, or you didn't find environmental solutions, so you've taken this on board to provide an environmental solution. So establish how things were before you created your products and service, and identify the problems that arose from the conventional way of doing things, and explain the solution that your product or service offers. And one example of this is Vivid and Bold, which is a sporting brand, and they are for sportswear for women, by women, designed by women, for big girls and little girls. And I just loved this, being a big girl too. But it was just, actually, it showed me that this brand was designed for me, because I fitted this group. And I think that's quite important when you're trying to talk about your About Us, is that you're conveying the problem, because you'll find that other people can relate to that problem that you've resolved for them. And they've done it actually very simply here, but I love that this bottom bit that they finish on, be vivid, be bold, and that's actually what drives them with the whole brand. The next is, where can you add value? So think about the question, why should potential customers choose you over other businesses? And use your About Us page to create a narrative and highlight your business's unique value proposition. And I know that sounds very marketing, UVP, and you'll hear it a lot if you want to get into marketing, particularly online marketing. The unique value proposition is a very big deal, and it's something putting your mind into actually understanding your own business, to understand what makes you unique and what is the unique offering that you have that you're trying to give to customers. So your About Us page is where you talk in great detail about what makes you unique and how your offer can benefit your customers, and why you're the best and most trustworthy brand in the market. It might be that you're local. It might be that you employ only women like that other brand. It might be that you stock personally tested products. Where is it that you're adding the value? It might be that you do a 24-hour service. It might be that you'll price match anybody, and that's really important to you. Whatever it is that makes you unique, take some time to explain it. And Aho Creative is a local brand that does this beautifully, and it actually explains about her mission and her philosophy, her kaupapa, and really her journey to actually understanding her own culture and to why Aho Creative products are going to be created. And it actually builds a really huge amount of trust and credibility. She also talks about her journey through India and how that her Māori side and her Indian side together has meant that she can supply really good quality products into New Zealand, good quality cotton into New Zealand at a good price. So it's a story, but she's gone into the depths here using a mission, philosophy, and then of course the image, and then who we are as well. And within that, when you read that, you really do see what her unique value proposition is. The next is, what about your business model? Do you have a unique business model? And actually, you might not think it is, but spend some time to actually look at what your competitors are doing, their business model, and is yours slightly different? How do you run things? So explain your business, how your business works, and how your current supply chain helps you advocate for the causes you support. So I've talked about Better Packaging before. They are a New Zealand brand that have gone into supplying eco-friendly and compostable packaging. And obviously packaging is not a new business, and definitely is not a new product, but they've changed how they supply things, how they make things, and that all these carbon neutral, be certified, and Plastic Pacts members are huge things for them. And their about us is actually quite small, but it's to the point and concise, and it does talk about their business model, particularly with their circular economy as being a grounding factor within their business, and that's what makes them stand out. Okay, and then the next is to be transparent. Transparency is the name of the game. It lets your clients get a glimpse of what's happening inside your company. Say you're giving a handsome compensation package or a medical coverage to your employees, or just social photos about your raw materials being processed or manufactured. Our example here is an affiliate company of Zeal's called Dash 10 in the Philippines. They give 2 weeks paid leave during the holidays and also full medical coverage. And that actually is different to companies over there. So they put that on there to make sure that they're transparent with it. But just have a think about, and again, this one relates to the highs and lows that you have as a business owner. If there's something that you've struggled with, be transparent about it. And that does help build trust and credibility when you're sharing things with the public. And highlight your brand's values. So what are your mission, vision, and goals? Write about the values that inspire you to keep going. And it helps to show that you are operating with a purpose, and it helps you establish a deeper connection with your audience. Another really well-known New Zealand brand is Katao. I think I'm saying that properly. But their About Us is done on 3 different pages. So they have about ethically made, and then sustainable fabrics and circular design. They are 3 major aspects that are really, really important to this business. And if you follow them, they ensure that they source all their products. They reuse things that are left over from the manufacturing for new products. That's quite in depth, but you get a real lot of information here on what they do and how they do it. And you really get a lot of trust that they're not just saying they're environmentally friendly product or clothing manufacturer. They actually do what they say they're doing, and because of the detail in which they're sharing here. Another one I've got here is Becker, which is one of New Zealand's leading engineering firms. And this you'll see is not anything flash or quirky in design, but like I've said previously, they're an engineering firm. So actually I think this suits their brand, which is really important. But they do a whole section here on vision, purpose and values, which is really important. They then talk about their commitment to sustainability, and then how they do the right thing with ethics, etc., within the culture within the company. So they're being very open and honest here, and highlighting their brand's values, their mission, their goals, and the environment that they're creating within their company. Another one is Xero, which I know everyone is probably aware of. It's a New Zealand accounting company. And you would expect a little bit more pop or jazz from them. And this is a really interesting way of how they've used images to convey their values. Every value is a different image that's done really quite beautifully. And then below, they've got a little summary of what that is. And you can see here, there's not a lot of copy. They're not talking about it hugely, but the images are making the biggest impact here to show that they're really important to the brand and to the company. The next is awards and testimonials. So this is the best way to showcase your biggest wins and establish your authority at the same time. So make sure to write about the awards, recognitions and press mentions you've received over the years. If you've got a great testimonial, you could actually highlight it on, or at least one on the About Us page. Testimonials are strong and effective content, and it lets your client tell your story for you, and it gives your brand more credibility. One of the examples here is Popped, which is a popcorn company. And I love the image first. That's her with her popcorn, which I love. Great image. And then, not too much, but then you've got this awesome testimonial down the bottom, which speaks, like we said, another way of saying a lot when someone else can recommend your business. And then call to actions. So after reading the About Us page, include what you want your customers to do. Say you want them to sign up for a newsletter, give them updates from time to time, or just want them to send their contact information so you can reach them. Perhaps you want them to like or follow or subscribe to something. Maybe you want them to go to your products. Put a call to action on there. So there's an example on there from Beaver and Bear, where after their About Us, they've got a call to action at the bottom of the page asking to sign up. This is a clay sculpture business. And her About Us is not that huge. Nice image of some of her work, and then a little paragraph about herself, but then the link here goes through to her projects. So she wants you to look at the projects that she's been doing. So it's a really nice way to finish off an About Us page. Stemming from the About Us page, one of the next most common secondary pages coming off of an About Us is a Teams page. And they're often really a good way to introduce people behind your brand and communicate your company culture, and helps get customers to know and trust you. So you can introduce each member of your team and the work they do. You can add pictures, highlight significant milestones, again, awards and recognitions that staff members individually have achieved. And you might include credentials like through to your team members' social profiles. So that's Time Out. So like Lisa said, I help run a charity called Time Out, and I love our About Us page. Our images just mixed whatever the person wants, which really fits with our brand. And then out, this is me here, and coming to the side is the story of why I personally am involved in Time Out. And that was really important to us, is to tell our stories as to why we're involved in the charity. So every person here tells their own story as to why they're involved. And again, we're hoping that that builds that trust and credibility and shows if we're involved for these reasons, perhaps you should be involved as well. Another About Us page example is this one here. So About Us pages can be just really short and simple. And I love this one. This is where you've got like a caricature, I think you would call it, of the people involved. It's just got their names, their titles, their contact phone number, and their email. So really short and sweet, not much other information, but again, it fits their brand and it fits the roles that these people would be doing. You can imagine, though, in a more professional, probably, environment, that it would be more appropriate to do an About Us page where each individual person really tells about their careers and their credibility, shares their certificates or their qualifications and their experience within areas. So this one is a law firm, Gibson Sheet, based in the Bay of Plenty. Oh, actually, I think they're in other places as well. We work with their Bay of Plenty group. And their Claire here tells a little bit about her career, professional associations, what stimulates her. But this area here is things that she's actually a specialist in, her qualifications, and more information about her contacts as well. So a lot more than what the previous one did, but that's where the kind of that sort of business where you would expect to have more information to build that trust and credibility. So it's worth putting time into those About Us pages, and then the team pages as part of that. So according to a 2019 survey by Edelman, which is a global communications company that surveys engagement online, Edelman said that 81% of consumers said they need to be able to trust a brand in order to buy from them. And 64% of consumers would buy or boycott a brand solely because of its position on social issues. So your About Us page can turn your customers away or keep them engaged, because it will help resolve those issues for a lot of your customers. So your About Us page is a big opportunity to create quality content that builds trust and encourages consumers to continue to purchase from you. So just before we finish, I've just got a couple of tools that we're going to be sharing. So this is a questionnaire that we've created with a lot of the questions. They're just questions that we've kind of gone through as part of this, and this will be given out with the webinar. So if you haven't got an About Us page or you want to improve your About Us page, just simply answer all these questions. Get a doc out and just type away and answer every single one, and kind of get something down, and then find out what you need to then refer through. From those questions, then you could copyright. And we've just been told about a new AI tool so that can help with copywriting, and it's on copy.ai. And sure, they might not actually come out with it completely polished, but if you're stuck, if you're one of those people that maybe you've answered all those questions and you're not quite sure what to do with it, pop it through this AI tool and you'll be surprised at the quality that you might get back. And it's not that you would publish that directly, but it will then give you more to then work on and refine. And the other thing is too, look at who else is on your team that might be a good writer. If you've answered those questions as a business owner, then you can maybe give them to someone else that's a fairly good writer and see if they can make it more concise, make it flow better. Copywriting is a really big skill, but also it doesn't have to be perfect. Give it a go and just move it around and see what you can do. So again, just some tools that we will be sharing as part of the webinar. But I just wanted to say, really, the whole purpose is today is to just really to try and encourage you and empower you to put more effort into your About Us page, because I'm really convinced it can have a massive difference on your business.
Thanks, Rhonda. And those were also some great examples to get the ideas flowing. So I think it's been really, really helpful and awesome that we are getting that questionnaire out to people, because I think that's where a lot of people get stuck a lot of the time, and definitely something I know you've heard a lot from clients, just, well, where do I start?
Yeah. That's totally true. And like anything, when writing's not your passion, where do I start is often the biggest thing. And so if you just answer those questions first, you'll start to see and look at those examples, get inspired, see what other people are doing on their About Us page, especially when you're going on as a consumer. What made you carry on? What made you really like that business and go, okay, if I like that, can I do something similar, or am I conveying those same messages on my site? Yeah.
Definitely. So now is our time for questions. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to use the chat or Q&A area of Zoom. While you were talking, we did have a couple come through. So I'll start off with the shorter one first. So if you have a very small team, so this is when you were talking about the team page, like 1 to 3 people, would you still have a team profile or the individual profiles of them?
It depends. I kind of feel if you're trying to convey that you're bigger than what you are, then I wouldn't. But if you're trying to show that you're local and you're employing local people, then perhaps yes, I would. So it's not a clear yes or no. It kind of is it in line with your brand? Now, if your brand is the local coffee shop or the local person, then yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of mums that do the side hustles, and they're doing it on their own, and perhaps one person actually put them people down, because New Zealanders want to support side hustlers. Do you know what I mean? So it's actually kind of making sure it's in line with what your brand is doing, and if it is, then definitely convey that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree there. I think it is one of those things where most of the time it's generally good to at least have a couple of faces on there. But sometimes it might be how you word that, given if you're trying to portray that you are a larger team, or potentially you have maybe I know some like construction businesses, building businesses, etc., work with a lot of subcontractors, but there's still a core team of who they would work with. And so you might put your core team, you're just not putting everyone or listing every position that someone would maybe expect. So I think it's that whole people buy from people thing, and that just adds to it.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you can kind of massage a little bit that these are the people that you're most likely going to contact in the first instance. So, your office helpers, your front desk people, the person in the shop front. So you might want to convey them, and then the rest of the team you can kind of show on your About Us page. There's more people behind the scenes, but these are the people we want to show you. Yeah.
Definitely. So Richard has sent one through. So he has a relatively new business, and he's just wondering if he could use awards that he received for his previous business that he sold, because he actually won quite a lot of awards for environmental and business sustainability. And he is following the same principles for the new business. And so, yeah, could he use those previous awards to help establish that credibility?
I think you could use them for you personally, but not say that the business has won those awards. So him personally, as the founder, or as the the business owner, has gotten these awards, but not the new business. And I think that's just showing some transparency there, I think, which was one of our slides. Being transparent with that and being honest with that's really important. But I don't see why you can't say you as that person when you did this other previous business, and I think that shows that you've had this commitment to the environment or whatever it is for a long time beyond, your current business. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is quite normal for people to sort of have the bit that's about the business and then a bit about the founder or the
Yeah,
directors, things like that. So
totally.
yeah, it's not it's not uncommon to see that, I should say.
Yeah, and I think because of that, it would be really important to talk about yourself individually and your journey, your story as to how you got to this business, and use those credentials as part of that story. Yeah.
Definitely. So Sarah's sent through a question, which could be a little controversial at the same time. So should we worry about recruiters using the information about our staff under our About Us page to poach talent?
No. I think if your staff are really going to be swayed by a recruiter, then good luck to them. I mean, you don't want to keep them personally. I kind of feel you want staff that are committed to your business, and you want to create a business where people want to work for you. So it can be two ways. Maybe there's other things that you need to be doing to keep your staff, but really, I've not found staff being approached by a recruiter is threatening at all. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of other avenues that recruiters can use. Like if people have LinkedIn, if people
LinkedIn.
have Facebook,
Yeah.
etc. You know,
Yeah.
I think recruiters are using lots of different areas to do that anyway. And similar to what Rhonda said, I mean, if your staff members easily persuaded by that, then maybe they weren't the right fit for the team, or didn't believe in the business how you probably would want them to. So, you know, it's nothing to really worry about. Yeah.
And I think we've got to remember that the team page is a sub page of the About Us as well. You've got to get those core things about your business story, your journey out there first, and then your team comes as part of that. So sure, a team page is important, but really I think look at your About Us. Yeah.
Cool. I had a couple of questions myself as well as we were going through. So obviously images or videos were one of the things, I guess, ways we could portray the About Us page. But what happens if you don't have many images or sort of videos of your business or team? When would you recommend using stock images versus, real images from your business?
Yeah, it depends what you're trying to convey. So definitely stock images can help convey a mood, and we've done that with even Time Out's website there. There's a couple of family shots that are not people that are stock images, but then we've mixed it up with the shots of us with our families as well. So it's really, there's no definite line to it, but if you're finding that you're not getting anything on your About Us because you're struggling to actually find images or do images, then I would go to stocks. They're not a bad, and I just think you've got to spend some time looking for the right stock image. Kiwi businesses, Kiwis look different to the American stock images. There's a few New Zealand stock libraries that might be better to help make your business look more Kiwi. So you've just got to convey, balance that up with really what your goal is, because like on that Xero one, I'm pretty sure they didn't create those images. I think they've with their values, I'm pretty sure they would have just generated them from a stock thing. So but they're bright and happy, which really fits their brand. So yeah.
Definitely. And I guess leading on from that, is there a particular length that businesses should look to have for their About Us page? Is there too short, too long, or does it not really matter?
I think conciseness in the copy is important. But if you've got a lot of different parts of your story to tell, or a lot of parts about your values, then tell them. Yeah. I mean, in the examples there, I showed that ceramics one that was really quite tiny. You go to Cattell Clothing, it's 3 pages because they've got a lot to tell about their sustainability and their commitment to that. So I don't think there is a set length, but what I would say is when you're writing copy, make your copy concise. That's really important. So it's digestible.
Awesome. And we've just had another question pop through from Cheryl. What are the NZ stock image sites? It's just trying to remember.
I'm going to Google. Auntie Google really does have all the answers. There is one that's about to be released because we sorry, we're both Googling to try and find it.
It was a while ago now. I remember seeing it.
Photo New Zealand, My Chili Bin.
Yes.
And I think I've used iStock photos, and they have a New Zealand section. So just even when you're on a normal one, you can select Polynesian or Māori or New Zealand cultures and sit to try and get more New Zealand looking imagery. Yeah.
Definitely. And you did sort of say that there is copy.ai as a tool at the end. Are there any other suggestions for places you can go to maybe get some copy done, or any other ways that, you know, someone could kind of get that sorted if they're not great at writing? Because I know I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, most agencies have copywriters. We have copywriters that we specialize in copy. And so even if you wanted just a piece of copy done, you could approach someone like ourselves, Zeld. There are a lot of copywriter specialists out there. You could just Google that and goes directly to them, people that work from home. What's that one that does?
Fiverr?
Fiverr, that's it.
Yeah.
Would Fiverr do copywriting?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've used Fiverr before for some copywriting. I guess the difference is whether you kind of want one where you can review and send back and be talking to someone, whereas Fiverr's more, here's my info, you write me something, can give it back to me.
Yeah.
And so there's not as much human connection there, but for starting out, I mean, it's good budget wise, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing you could do is even student jobs. You know, you've got a whole heap of people that are into creative writing looking for a bit of work at student rates. You know, it's for someone that writes, it's not a big deal. Put it that way. So yeah, just see your networks as well. You might be surprised. There might be people that are into writing. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I'm just double checking. Looks like that's all the questions we have for today. So thanks a lot for your advice there, Rhonda. I'm sure it's helped a lot of people. And I'm sure that, you know, everyone's taken at least a little gold nugget away of information today. So just to wrap up today, so Zeld overview of today's webinar. So what we know is people buy from people. So that is still true and is what we see all the time. And what's very, you know, second nature to humans. So the opportunity that everyone has is to boost their conversions and build trust and credibility by transforming your About Us page. And my recommendation here is to keep it simple and true to your brand and business. So I think Rhonda said this quite often. Have it be about your story, about your business. And I think here, even if you think it's boring, so sometimes the boring story is just what connects to your customers, and that's absolutely fine. I think where you could risk it is if you try to make it a bit more exciting than what it is, and then someone speaks to you and finds out it's not exactly true, or you try and keep up with trends, because then you're always trying to keep up with more trends. So I think the best About Us pages are generally those that are more simplistic and quite a clean and clear layout. So just a little bit about Zeld as well. So Zeld have helped over 15,000 Kiwi businesses achieve digital transformation. We are currently supporting businesses in New Zealand with our GEM initiative, which is a free website setup and no fee hosting for 12 months. So there's still a large amount of New Zealand businesses that aren't online and are potentially missing out on opportunities or still trying to recover from last year's lockdowns. And as we all have just seen, Wellington's been in a lockdown for the last sort of week, I think now. So being online and having a presence there, even if you're not selling, it's just to have your business seen and have people finding information about you and investigating. So if you or someone you know does not have a website or maybe needs to improve on their website, please get them to look at the GEM offer. And just a little comment from Robin's Cottage, one of our first gem clients ever. She's been really successful online. So she went through the gem process for the website setup and found it really great, and does recommend us, of course. Of course, we'd put that in there, but she's been doing really well on her website and just keeps growing her business from one strength to another because it is there for her to now utilize as part of her business. So for next week's webinar, not next week, in 2 weeks' time, actually, it's about improving and nurturing your customer journey to generate the best results. So join us on July 14th to find out more about this. Basically, ever wonder what's stopping your visitors from making a purchase on your website? Deep dive into your customer's path to purchase and learn how to eliminate conversion blockers to get better results. We started today with the About Us page. This will go through some more tips and tricks there for you. And like I said at the start, we do send this recording out to all of you afterwards with an email. I think that will go out tomorrow. But if you do want to look at this webinar or any of the other webinars we have done, you can go to our webinar library, which you will find under zeal.com/webinar plus series. So that's all for today. And again, I just want to thank you, Rhonda, for coming and presenting to us. There was a lot of examples and a lot of information. And like I said, there will be something little to take out of it, or some people might be able to really get an awesome About Us page, especially with the questionnaire resource that you're going to be sending out as well.
Thanks, Lisa. I've really enjoyed it. And I just hope people have been encouraged by it to give their About Us pages a go.